Hello, my name is Apipol Sae-Tung. I am the academic coordinator from the International Academic Forum, and today we are at the Southeast Asian Conference on Education 2025 in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And joining me today are the panelists from the panel Promoting Cultural Awareness in Artificial Intelligence for Sustainable Education, East-West Collaboration. Would you introduce yourself for us, please?
Yeah, hi, my name is Chih-Pu Dai, and I'm assistant professor in the Department of Learning, Design, Technology at the University of Hawaiʻi, Mānoa.
Hello, I'm Michael Menchaca from the University of Hawaiʻi at Mānoa, and also the Department of Learning, Design, and Technology. And I'm interested in artificial intelligence, online learning, distance education, and I've been at Hawaii for 20 years, first time in Kuala Lumpur. Very, very happy to be here. It's a wonderful place. Thank you, Apple.
Aloha everyone, my name is Peter Leong. I'm originally from Malaysia, Singapore, but I've lived in Hawaii for 30 years now. I'm the current chair of the Department of Learning Technology, and I've been teaching since 2008 here at University of Hawaii. Thank you for the invitation. We are very happy to be here back in Malaysia to enjoy not only the conference, but the culture and especially the food here.
If you don't mind, I'm going to go straight into the question. So it's about cultural intelligence in AI. So AI is often seen as a so-called neutral or scientific technology, but your work emphasizes cultural awareness as well. Why is it important to integrate cultural perspectives into AI-driven education? And what risks could arise when this is overlooked?
That's an excellent question. I'm going to start off. I think it's very important for us to integrate cultural awareness because at this point in time, there's always the danger of the biases, right? Because the data that most generative AI is trained on has a very Western perspective. So it's important that we recognize that and make efforts to move more towards a more inclusive data sets that we can use to train the AI. I think from our work, at least with cultural competence and cultural awareness, we feel that's important for us to make sure that all voices are equally heard, especially in education. We want our students to feel that they are represented in whatever endeavors that we're using, including AI.
With a graduate student in our doctoral program that's doing his research on Hawaiian history and the inclusion of Hawaiian history. And so if a AI model is trained solely from a Western perspective and you did a search, say, the history of Hawaii, you'd get a very Western idea of Hawaii, whereas from a native Hawaiian perspective, the view of the occupation of Hawaii, the overthrow of the Hawaiian kingdom, is completely different than perhaps another viewpoint. And so it's important to have all of that information and nuances within the models themselves, even in terms of also understanding what to ask the AI, which is also important, but also what the AI learns from and what it indexes from. So it's very important to have that cultural awareness.
Okay, now I want to talk about AI and empowerment. So we talk about its importance in being cultural relevant. And one of the key themes in your work is local, regional empowerment. How can AI-based workforce education contribute to sustainable development in the Asia-Pacific region while still respecting local cultures? What role does culturally relevant AI training play in ensuring that local community could benefit from this technological advancements?
That's an excellent question. So I'll start with that. I think that in relation to the knowledge that the students that we're training have to have, they're going to go into the workforce and have to understand these contemporary technologies, the utilization of artificial intelligence. But particularly in Hawaii, since COVID, it's been really important to understand that Hawaii needs to not only rely on the tourist industry to be able to sustain, all of the different types of things that we have to fund in Hawaii. So technology, understanding of that is going to play a very important role in the future of technology. So having these students understand these technology skills and to be competent in them is going to be really important for the state of Hawaii. And together understanding and having that cultural awareness component, because Hawaii, it's all about understanding the culture if you're going to be successful in business and communications, and that's a very important part of the Hawaii mentality.
Even the first question, like culture is is the product of human intelligence. So if we're designing an artificial intelligence, it is important to include the culture aspect into that. And when students go out to work, there are also different culture in the workplace. So how do we ensure or empower our students to be successful working together with this technology? I think that's the point that we're trying to make here.
Yeah, just really quickly, I think in terms of incorporating local, regional information, I think it's also important that AI would help retrain workforce by upskilling and reskilling for sustainable economies, right? For example, maybe moving towards the green economy. So local cultures may not have that know-how, but if they actually are aware of moving, like you were saying with the industry, we can't rely on tourism all the time. How can we reskill our workforce towards industries that are more green?
Now, the challenges of cultural integration. So in adapting AI for diverse cultural contexts, I'm sure you have challenges in it. What are the biggest obstacles you've faced in making AI technology more culturally aware? And how have you addressed them? Are there any examples?
Yeah, I'll use my graduate student as an example of that. So he works for the Smithsonian Institution. And so one of the real significant things that an institution like the Smithsonian has to be aware of is to lobby those institutions that are indexing the information, like the language learning models, to include the types of cultural information that might not necessarily be something that is on the radar of most of these companies that are designing the artificial intelligence. So in particular, Hawaiian artifacts, Hawaiian culture, Hawaiian history, oral history, information that might be at the Smithsonian that's very esoteric or that people don't necessarily have access to. So his particular job, what he does is to really lobby for that, the Hawaiian knowledge, or actually the Pacific areas, to have that knowledge, which is very important, which we can learn a lot from, to be included in these kinds of models. And if we don't, then we miss that opportunity to have these different perspectives that might be also important within the artificial intelligence.
What about in terms of sustainable development? Can AI help to preserve something else like endangered languages, or to help document cultural knowledge that might otherwise, be lost?
Yes, I think it absolutely could, and in fact, there's an example from the early iterations of the Google artificial intelligence of the artificial intelligence actually going out and learning on its own languages that it wasn't told to learn. So I think that there really is opportunity to preserve. We had a session today about the Malaysian language, and I think it was the Portuguese Creole Malaysian mix of a dying language, and these are things that really are important to keep. But I think also one thing that you touched upon was in informal learning. I think my colleague Peter Leong is involved. I think that's another area, because you said outside of the classroom. So maybe you would want to say a little bit about what informal learning can do.
Absolutely. But I just want to touch, going back to what we had mentioned at the top of the interview, the importance of including not just solely Western perspective, right? I think it's very important for us to make sure that a lot of this indigenous information, because it's not necessarily, first of all, they may not be from cultures that are written cultures, they are verbal cultures, right? And of course, it's not in an English language. And so it's important to make sure that the AI is trained on data sets that are very more inclusive than that. Now, with regards to the use of AI for informal learning, I think that's a really good way of looking at it, because we are no longer the sage on the stage here, right? We are all guide on the side. So I truly believe that in order for students to really learn, they don't learn only in a classroom formal environment, they learn informal, and AI definitely has a lot more role that it can play in an informal learning environment.
Google has technologists going out to collect data, and a lot of times our data which is not in the form of text. So like computer vision and other sensing technologies can preserve those knowledge that not being communicated through text-only modality. There are multi-modal modality, and different sensing technology can really help to preserve that different information and cultural knowledge.
All right, thank you so much. That's all
Thank
for
you.
today. Thank you.
Thank you for the time.
Thank you.